Spectre Divide launched this week, and let's be honest though, it didn't go the smoothest. Like any big game launch, the servers basically melted within minutes of the server starting, causing all sorts of connection and matchmaking chaos. Nobody could get into any games, it was hard to invite your friends to games, but fortunately, Mountaintop came through pretty quickly, dropping a hotfix on day one that got things back on track. Once I got home from work and was able to play, I honestly had no issues hopping on with my friends and getting into games, so they resolved it fairly quickly. And let me tell you, aside from those early issues, the game actually feels amazing, probably the best that it's ever been, and it's running even smoother than the beta was. They even went as far as tweaking the guns and the movement for launch, and you can definitely feel the difference. I've consistently been able to drop 30 kill games in my first couple games, and honestly, the recoil updates and the movement penalty changes, big W for me. But there is an elephant in the room. Something that is not such a W is the skin store, and I think a lot of you are going to agree with me, as I did see the Discord and some chats out there, and they were literally tearing the devs apart with some of the pricing. Now, to be fair, the game is free to play, and I'm not trying to shill this game. Again, I'm not sponsored in any way. I'm just looking at it from an outside perspective. But if you don't want to spend any money, you really don't have to. It's a free game. It's not a requirement to play. It doesn't benefit you in any way. It's just a cosmetic item. I do think Mountaintop is doing the right thing with already addressing the concerns and lowering some of the skin pricing to make it a bit more reasonable, especially for the first iteration of the store. The weapon and character prices are planned to be decreased by about 17 to 25%. I'm not going to get super into it, but I will leave a link below on the official page discussing the full pricing changes. However, I do want to just let everybody know up front, in addition to these changes of pricing, anybody that already purchased any skins, the pricing is going to be adjusted and you will be refunded the difference with a little bit of a bonus, as they do plan to round to the nearest 100. This is actually something pretty nice, as they are doing this for those people that already did choose to support them already, and hopefully those of you that are going to get some refunds can use that as a bonus towards your next skin. Something that I do just want to mention briefly, as I have seen a lot of people are not aware of the color variants on the higher tier skins. Some of them do have additional color variations that are included as part of the skin that you are able to unlock through XP and playing the game. To check if that skin has a variant, make sure you press W if given the option to view all of the variations of that skin. Again, I'm not saying that this justifies the pricing in any way. I'm just saying that some of the skins may hold a little bit more value than others based on this feature alone. Mountaintop should make this more obvious in their store and customization page, as it being on the other side of the screen is really not helping them in any way, and a lot of people are missing out on that feature. So that's really all I plan to talk about the skins. It's really a non-issue for me, and if I continue to enjoy the game, I'll support the devs by purchasing a skin or two. Okay, enough. Let's dive right into the day one patch notes, because there are some big changes here. First up, we got a brand new map called Commons and two new voice line actors, Isaiah and Hannah. And let me tell you, Isaiah's voice is majestic. I'm definitely going to be rocking his callouts from now on. It's hilarious to hear him in game.
I need a buy.
I do think the new map Commons is pretty good, and it's much different than any of the other maps we've seen yet. The map overall does seem that it is very, very mid heavy, as there's multiple lanes going through mid, as well as side lanes that are cutting off into each site. It looks like if you want to control this map, you're going to want to make sure that you hold on to mid. To be completely honest, I'm not sure how I feel about the map yet. It's been pretty fun the few times that I have had a chance to play it, but it's still too early on to tell if I'm sold or not. More to come in a future video. We'll definitely do our own dedicated video on Commons at some point. Now we're getting to the real meat of the patch, the weapon and the movement changes. Based on the feedback from the beta, Mountaintop made some adjustments to horizontal recoil for a few weapons. All guns still have that predictable recoil pattern, but now they're just a little bit less wild horizontally. Here's a look at some of the key changes. The buzzsaw, slightly reduced horizontal recoil after bullet 4, slightly increased weapon firing stability. I honestly am a bit shocked that they changed this weapon, as I had felt even in the beta it was one of the strongest guns in the game. It absolutely is more so now, so don't be surprised if it gets nerfed in the near future. The Whisper, slightly increased weapon firing stability. This one, however, was needed, as in comparison to the buzzsaw, the Whisper felt very hard to control as it jumped left and right way too much, and hopefully this will make shooting it feel more consistent. The Cyclone, slightly reduced mid and late pattern horizontal recoil, new 30-meter plus damage range, head 116, body 30, and limb 25. It seems pretty reasonable, and hopefully it'll bring it in line with some of the other guns. The Drummer Shotgun, increased fire rate from 140 to 160, decreased overheat decay delay from 0.5 to 0.2, increased shots before overheat from 5 to 6. I do like this change. For me, the shotguns have always felt more useless to buy, and I'm hoping that this will make them feel more impactful without ruining the competitiveness of the game. I honestly never really have been a fan of shotguns in competitive shooters, but if they are going to be in the game, finding a balance of usefulness without being broken is a fine line. Let's see how this adjustment plays out in game. The Fury, adjusted mid and late pattern horizontal recoil to be easier to control. The Fury honestly has felt pretty bad to use in comparison to some of the other weapons for the same price, and even worse than some of the guns in the tier prior. Sometimes I just outright buy Whisper Buzzsaw over Fury Cyclone in certain scenarios, so hopefully this change will help the Fury feel more impactful for its cost. The Berserker, adjusted late pattern horizontal recoil to be easier to control. The Berserker honestly felt pretty good in the beta, so I'm not sure why it needed to be changed, but now this weapon is an absolute laser beam. If you can afford it, this gun is actually insane. If you can get past the slow ADS speed, this may be one of the best weapons in the game. I expect nerfs in the future. The Harpy, reduced ADS stabilized duration from 0.35 to 0.27. This will hopefully help in much earlier rounds with quick scoping, as it now can compete with some of those quick ADS SMGs. The Prototype reduce ADS stabilization from 0.6 to 0.5. I'm going to be completely honest, I'm not a big fan of this change. It helps you quick scope even more now, and I feel like with Spectre there's a lot of pretty brutal choke points that can be completely shut off with the op, making it even more viable when you have to rotate off of your position. I feel like it's just going to be too strong, and I don't think that that's really needed in a game like this. We'll have to see how things change as the gameplay goes on, but honestly, the op is one of my least favorite guns being in the game. Now, something that I am pretty excited about in this patch is the new hit confirmation animations. It's basically like the old COD hit markers, where your crosshair will flash when you land a shot on somebody. Super useful for tracking damage in fights, and hitboxes actually got expanded too, so headshots should feel a little bit easier to land now as well. Movement penalties for jumping was also reduced, so you can be a bit more mobile in gunfights, and there was a ton of quality of life changes. Here's a few that stood out to me. You no longer have to be on the ground to start a mantle animation. Last player standing audio is going to prompt when you are the last player on your team. They added a last weapon keybind, so you can easily switch back to the last weapon you were using in a pinch. They added a setting for the swap camera effect. This will help reduce the animations when switching Spectres and help with performance, as well as those of you that are experiencing some motion sickness when switching. You can go in and turn off some of those animations. The render is now an option when a teammate leaves, so that you don't have to play out a full game when somebody decides to leave your game. Dropped weapons now have unzoom optics automatically, so when you pick up a weapon, it should automatically be unzoomed. If you use Morgan United's smoke shift in a location where your duality puck cannot land, you will now receive a recall failed notification. Improved the movement of Ghostlink's dupe to make it more player-like. This is actually a pretty insane buff for Ghostlink, as it's going to make it even harder to tell whether or not it's a dupe or an actual player coming around the corner. And there was many more changes as well for quality of life. If you do want to see all of the changes, I am going to leave a link below to the patch notes so that you can read them all if you wanted to check them out. These were just some of the ones that stood out to me. It is pretty nice to see that Mountaintop has been pretty quick with some of these fixes and changes, and it's great to see that they're actually listening to their community. A lot of these changes came from direct feedback that was provided from the last beta. Something that we still have looking forward to is the ranked mode. It isn't going to be dropping for at least another week, but this gives them time to iron out some of the remaining issues before ranked goes live. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. So what do you guys think of Spectre Divide so far? Let me know down in the comments. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Are you upset about the skins? Are you not so upset about the skins? I'd love to know. And if this video was helpful in any way, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Good luck to everybody in your games this week, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.